We're currently live streaming. We'll give just a minute because Councilmember Carlson is trying to re-enter the meeting. At 7 p.m. And he's there. I'd like to welcome everyone to Ferrisburg City Council meeting, Monday, January 18, 2021, 7 p.m. Pursuant to Public Act 228, the Ferrisburg City Council will conduct business via Zoom to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Members of the public are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Members of the public are not required to register or otherwise provide information to attend. Please utilize your mute function on your phone while on the conference call. When appropriate, Mayor Hoppe will run the virtual meeting like a regular meeting. There will be opportunities at the beginning and the end of the meeting for public comments. Pursuant to Public Act 228, each council member must declare their physical location, city, county, and state. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hoppe,
Here.
city, state,
City of Ferrisburg, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember DeWitt,
City of Ferrisburg, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Here, City of Ferrisburg, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Carlson,
Here, City of Ferrisburg, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Blease,
Present, City of Ferrisburg, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Here, City of Ferrisburg, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Sias. Looks like he's absent.
A motion to approve or not approve Councilmember Sias's absence for this evening.
I make a motion to excuse Councilman Sias.
Support.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Sorry, yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes,
Councilmember Blease,
Yes,
Mayor Hoppe.
Yes. Moving down to item 3, a moment of silence. During this time, please remember all those affected by COVID-19 and remember all of our brave men and women in uniform. And thank you. At this time, item number 4, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
flag
of the United
United
States
States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands,
stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time on the agenda is for public comment. This time on the agenda is for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to City Council. Time for public comments will be given when the agenda item is addressed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized by the mayor. After being recognized by the mayor, please stand, give your name and address for the record, and proceed with your comment or question. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see one attendee and no hands up. So seeing that, we will move down to item 6. Consideration approval of consent agenda. A, approve the December 21, 2020 City Council meeting minutes as printed. B, approve the schedule for the March Board of Review meetings, which run Tuesday, March 2nd, 6 p.m. is the organizational meeting, no appeals heard. Monday, March 8th, 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Tuesday, March 9, 1:30 PM to 4:30 PM, 6:30 PM to 8 PM. Approve poverty income standards for 2021 assessment and assess level guidance for the 2021 assessments. And D, adopt the 2021 prioritized city council goals, which city clerk has submitted a updated version of that earlier this afternoon. What that correction was is it removed the word non in front of the motorized millage.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Carlson,
Aye.
Councilmember Blease,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Mayor Hop,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. Moving down to item 7, new business. A, discussion take action if appropriate to approve a proposal from HydroCorp for $27,012, 1 year over a 3-year period, total cost $81,036 to conduct city's cross-connection inspections and inspect for backflow preventers and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign all necessary documents. This information was in our packet, so,
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve it.
okay.
Support.
Motion support and further discussion regarding this,
I have a question for Craig, if you would.
okay?
We've used these people in the past. They've been doing our inspections right along.
No, this is a brand new contract. We have never used this company before. Area communities have used them, so we checked the references and we've got good references from the other communities.
So is Spring Lake or the village using them also, or is this
Yes.
just? Okay, so they're already under contract with them?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Your
And
Honor,
also in addition to that is the city of Hudsonville and the city of Grand Haven also. Councilmember O'Donnell?
Your Honor,
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Carlson.
Craig, is there any other competitive bids? These people are the people that do my office every year. And now cities are being mandated by the state to do residential backflow preventer inspections. Are there any other competitive bids?
We did not get any other bids besides HydroCorp.
And secondly, is the state offsetting the cost of this? I know we increased the price to the citizens to cover the cost. So essentially, it's a state mandated cost that's been thrust upon the citizens. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is an unfunded mandate from the state.
Your Honor,
Yes,
I have what Craig, you stated that that we have to have this.
Right. This is something that has been on the books for a number of years. The state has notified the city that we need to start implementing this program.
Okay, because this is with the Clean Waters Act, this has been an ongoing issue for over 45 years. And I think this is an unfair tax that we are having to force upon our citizens. With this addition, all the cross connects should have been taken care of with the inspections. Any house after this act was enacted in 1976, I believe, should have passed the inspection. We are forcing our residents to pay for something that is not really necessary. If our building inspectors are doing their jobs, this should have been taken care of. I know my house is in compliance. The neighbors next door, brand new house, that should be in compliance. I just cannot justify doing this at this time. Is there a penalty for us not implementing this?
Yes, we'd be in violation of the state law to have this program implemented.
Your Honor,
Yes,
I would wholeheartedly agree with Councilman O'Donnell. The hydrotech people were just at my office last week and I had a chat with him, the inspector, about it. And he laughed about the fact that they have to inspect all these households because of the fact that the percentage of failures that they get is like non-existent in backflow preventer applications. And it's just a money grab. I wouldn't be surprised who the heck owns Hydrotech or whatever the heck the name of this Febco inspection company is. And I would wholeheartedly support the city sending a letter to our representatives and state senators and just saying that this is ridiculous.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yeah, I would be reluctant to approve this without a competitive bid. There are other people out there that do it. We've had it done in the past. So my question to Craig would be, why haven't we gotten a bid from the people who have done it in the past?
We have never done this in the past. We have never gone and inspect homes for cross connections.
According to the Clean Waters Act, that should already be in effect. There is in the Clean Waters Act, it was already mandated that this be established in the inspection codes. And so the only houses or businesses that might be out of compliance would be the ones that have been continuously occupied by the same owner since 1976. Otherwise, the inspectors would not be doing their jobs. And I don't see anything in here about the verification that they are actually going out and doing the inspections. So they could just say, well, we're doing the inspection. We went by the house, looked at it, said, it's okay. I got a lot of serious questions about if we're paying $82,000 for something, I want some verification.
Your Honor.
Yes,
Craig, what is the deadline for us to commit to a contract to someone for this?
I'm not sure we have a deadline per se. The state is just highly recommending the city implement this program as soon as possible. We can try to look and see if we have another company out there that will give us a bid on this.
Well, Your Honor,
yes,
I would be in favor of delaying approving the contract to Hydrotech, seeking out additional bids, and also formulating a letter to our state representatives and state senator in opposition to this.
yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
Your Honor, can I amend my motion to table this until we get another bid?
Yes, you would be able to do that.
Okay, I would make the motion, we table this until we get another bid and investigate this a little further.
For it.
So right now, this item will be tabled until staff is able to provide council with additional information. Are we
Okay.
asking staff to seek a second bid?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. And we're also asking, pardon me?
Some additional information as to when the deadline where we have to implement this.
Okay. And then Councilmember Carlson, you would like to have council direct staff to draft up a letter to Representative Lilly and Senator Victory, correct?
That would be my desire. I think it would be prudent for us to look at the actual cost benefit ratio. I'd like to see some documentation as to the rate of factor of those Febco backflow preventers in residential applications.
Okay. So staff, you have the directions from council at this time?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Great discussion. Moving down to 7B, discussion take action if
Your Honor.
appropriate. Yes,
We have a motion to table. We need a roll call, please.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Blease,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson,
yes,
Mayor Hop,
Yes,
motion to table passed.
thank you. Moving down to 7B, discussion take action if appropriate to direct city staff and city attorney to pursue the Register of City of Ferrisburg trademark logo with the Michigan Secretary of State in the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make the motion that we get our, that we have the register the City of Ferrisburg trademark logo with the Michigan Secretary of State and the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Support.
Motion support. Further discussion.
Yeah, I got a question for Craig. What kind of dollars are we talking here? I know when I registered mine, it was like 10 grand.
Talked to City Attorney Brooke, and he said he does a number of these, and it'd be about $1,500.
Okay, do we need to decide at this point which one we want to trademark?
Yes.
I would make a motion, we do the blue one with the red. That's what we're going to, correct?
Mm-mm.
We're going to the one that's on the far left.
Okay,
That appears
Honor.
on letterhead in that at this time. Yes.
is this something that most cities do?
I
And
reached-
how, and secondly, how are we choosing which logo is the one?
Reaching out and talking with different municipalities throughout the state. After my last mayor board meeting, some municipalities have it trademarked, others have opted not to. And then your second question was, which logo do we select? The one that we are currently using on the letterhead, and which is on the flag, which is on the top of this paper with this agenda item, and it would be out of the list of 4 of them, it'd be on the first one in the list on the left-hand side.
Your Honor, what is the benefit to our residents of paying this money to get this trademarked?
The benefit, it's protecting cities, our city, the logo, what we represent, our brand. So if we're moving forward, that would be something that the city may wish to protect.
Have we had issues with people stealing or fraudulently using our logo in the past?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. It is something that has come out and has been a discussion through many different meetings that I've been in. And then more fairly recently throughout emails.
Sure.
And teaching entrepreneurs. This is one of the first things that we teach them as they start to launch their business, making sure that they're protecting themselves and their business rights. But a governmental entity could be viewed differently. So it's council's decision. Councilmember DeWitt.
yeah, I realistically, I don't think anybody's gonna steal our logo. I think $1,500 is money we could spend somewhere else that would be more beneficial to our citizens. Just my opinion.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Montgomery,
No.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
No,
Councilmember Carlson,
No,
Councilmember Blease,
Yes.
Mayor Hop,
Yes,
Oh, we got a tie.
yes.
aye.
Flip a coin.
Motion failed for the tie.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Moving down to item 7C, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve proposal for Priya Newhoff not to exceed a fee of $22,000 to design engineering for William Ferry Park seawall and to authorize mayor and city clerk to sign all necessary documents.
I'll make a motion to approve Prina Nienhoff.
I'll
Support.
second.
Motion and support. Further discussion regarding this?
Yeah, if nobody else has any, I have some questions.
Okay,
All right. Craig, we applied for a DEQ permit to put this in originally, correct?
1986, yes,
So we have that on file.
yes.
We're just going to remove what we have and replace it, correct? Or we're gonna put a new seawall in front of what we have?
Put a new seawall in front.
Well, I'm thinking my 6-year-old grandkid could figure out how to run a seawall in front of an existing seawall. I just don't see where we need $22,000 to have somebody stand there and watch him pound wood into the ground. It just seems that I have no problem replacing the seawall, but why do we need an engineer stand there and watch him go pump, 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 pump? We have the original request for the seawall. We can resubmit that same request to the DEQ as a city and hire our own contractor without, you know what I'm saying? 22,000 seems like an awful lot of money to stand there, because all he's gonna do is draw a line in front of the line we got and stand there and watch him go pump, 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 pump. Explain that to me if you would.
So we applied, the DEQ permit from 1986 is not valid any longer. So
Right.
we did apply for another DEQ and Army Corps of Engineers permit to make sure we could do this work, and we got those permits. And so we were gonna go out for bid for a contractor, and we were discussing it among staff, and we thought we better see if we should have someone design how exactly this wall is gonna go in because of the utilities underneath in that area.
But that's a contractor's responsibility to get mistig and all that there before they start driving piles. I just think this is just a total waste of money when the contractor is responsible for the work he does. And what are they gonna design? I mean, come on.
That's up to council. That's why we wanted to bring it to you to make that council's decision.
Craig,
Okay.
when over at the city park, when the seawall was replaced a year or two ago, was Pre and Newhoff involved with that one also? That was just like the small
Oh,
street end
over
park.
Off of Cecilia?
Yes,
No,
okay. It was just a contractor, but due to the utilities that are in that busy channel that's through there, is that the concern of staff?
yes.
Because if there's a misdig that happens, it's gonna cost the city much more than $22,000.
We did have a contractor look at this project, and they really don't have an issue with it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
staff is the decision of council tonight.
Right,
We'd be okay either direction. Okay.
that's correct.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Your Honor, any contractor we hire has to have liability insurance. They're
mhm.
gonna call mistig, they're gonna have, all the required bonding, whatever. I just think this is a total, we're just throwing a bunch of money away for nothing, in my opinion. That's it.
Okay. Any other further discussion from council? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
No.
Councilmember DeWitt,
No,
Councilmember Sias, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. Excuse my tardiness, technical difficulties, so I apologize. I kind of came into the middle of this debate. Can I excuse myself from this vote because I don't have full understanding of both sides? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, I recuse myself of this vote.
Councilmember Carlson,
No,
Councilmember Blees,
I'll still say yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
No.
Mayor Hop,
No.
motion failed.
Okay. Moving down to our list of work sessions, we'll start out with 7D, leaf pickup. So we had information that staff provided with us in our packet regarding the leaf pickup and the cost for the leaf pickup for 2020, which came to a total of $33,637.53, which included wages, equipment, and the Packer truck.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if I may, Craig, could you go through the list of services that the city is required to provide to our residents?
We're required to maintain the streets, the water, utilities, sewer. We have parks that we're required to take care of.
Police and fire, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, that was what I was looking for. So nowhere in our city charter does it say we are obligated to do leaf pickup by charter.
That's correct.
So this is something we can either do or not do as we decide.
That's correct. It's a council decision.
Okay, now, as I see equipment, didn't we just buy like a $15,000 scooper thing for that new tractor we bought?
No, the claw that we are using on the backhoe is one that we've always used on the old backhoe for picking up leaves.
Okay, so when we bought the new backhoe, we didn't get a new claw?
I don't think so. Did you recall that, Deb? It was the same claw, isn't it?
I thought we got a new one because they wouldn't fit.
I almost want to say we did get a new one.
Yeah, okay, maybe we did.
Okay, so if you add another, what was it, 12, 14, 15,000? I don't recall off the top of my head. But we have to do something to rein in some expenses. This is one thing we can cut out. I know our citizens expect it. However, we're not obligated to do it. I don't know. You know, we're later in the work session, we're going to talk about putting a Headley override on. It's failed 3 times in the past. I don't see that happening. And honestly, I don't see the millage for the equipment millage, the motorized millage passing either. So it's time we start seriously talk about reining in some of these expenses. That's why I had to put on the work session. I'm just throwing that out there, see what the other council people think.
Your Honor,
Yes.
this leaf pickup has been something that the citizens have expected through the years. And if we were to suddenly yank it out from under them, it would certainly bring our financial situation to the forefront. And I do believe that some strategization should be brought with this regarding the motor pool millage request that's upcoming that we need to make happen. I certainly sensitive to what Mike is saying, Councilman DeWitt is saying.
Okay. Thank you. Additional council members?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I agree with Councilmember DeWitt and Carlson. I don't know if what the future holds, but we definitely got to look at our costs, and we got to be proactive in our plan for the worst. We want to plan for the worst, hope for the best. This is one of the areas that we can cut. I don't know if we should cut it this year or not. That would be for later or other discussion. But the if we do the leaf cuts, we need to have something in plan for the people that have a lot of leaves that they need to get rid of. And I was talking to DPW employees, and there are some places that have a lot of leaves, and they can't just let them lay on the ground. That would cause us some additional problems with, I can see plugged drains, which would cost us money to clean out. So we're gonna have to look at maybe having a leaf disposal area so but I do agree we need to if we let people know that they're this could be cut, this could be something that could be used for the getting the Headley override approved. Thank you.
Mhm. Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
Craig, has the city ever explored the possibility of having a garbage can for grass and leaf? Have we explored that? Would that be actually cheaper to do that than the way we're doing it now?
There's probably about 1,500 households in the city. And I would think yard waste pickup would be about $100 a property. So it'd be about $15,000.
So we're saving half right there.
Again, on this leaf pickup here for $33,000, the wages and equipment, that's even if we don't do leaf pickup, we're going to still be paying the wages and the equipment. And if we have to buy boxes for people to put the leaves in or bring them someplace to drop leaves off, there's going to be a cost to that. Those boxes, we figured around $13,000, and that might be on the low side because, when they pick up those leaves, they put them in a packer truck and pack them down. We might not be able to pack those leaves down if we put them in boxes.
Well, you would have another garbage can for yard waste.
You could do yard waste. I'm not sure everybody could get all the leaves in one container.
Well, then I put it all in one container on 1 week. I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around, if you're saying 15,000, even with the wages and equipment, we're still saving 5,000 a year. Just off the packer truck.
That's correct.
Plus the wear and tear on our equipment, gas, oil maintenance, diesel, whatever. I think honestly, I think these numbers are a little bit low because that backhoe doesn't run on air. I think the diesel fuel probably a little bit higher than what the numbers we're looking at, but these are things that we need to address because it's like anything else. You go to the gas station, you expect to pay for gas. You want leaf pickup, you're expected to pay for it. It's that simple. And budget crunch, particularly with the bridge and the roads that we're trying to repair. 33,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but 20,000 is more for other things. That's the only comment I got.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I know at my household, we have a garbage tote, we have a recycle tote, and I also have a garden tote for leaves and sticks or whatever else. But when it comes to leaf pickup time, there is way too many leaves for me to put in there over 4 weeks' time or something like that. So I depend as a taxpayer on the city being able to pick up leaves during the leaf pickup time. Now, I do believe, council, that we should take a look at, hey, what can we do to leverage some of these expenses that are becoming crushing to us against how we can pass the motor vehicle millage and that type of thing as well.
Mr. Bessinger, has staff looked into the possibility of like the large yard waste dumpsters that they've had in other communities and have residents drop off their leaves?
We did get a price for that, and that was the $325 for a container. And those would have to be, secured so people don't put garbage in them and so forth. So
Right.
we would need to have some fencing around it, and then we would have to have some personnel there to man it, to let residents be able to access it, to drop their leaves off.
Mhm.
You
Just
know,
looking at other options that we would have. Because as we know, Ferrisburg has a huge urban tree canopy. And as a result of the huge urban tree canopy, you're going to get a large amount of leaves in the fall, just with the types of trees that we have in this community.
Your Honor,
Yes,
just to clarify, the city of Ferrisburg does not have a composting site like the city of Norton Shores has, or many other cities have, where citizens can just drop sticks or leaves anytime. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Your Honor,
yes.
Craig, didn't we have a composting site over on North Shore Road at one point?
We did have one at Coast Guard Park, right where the dog park is.
No, on the other side by North Shore Machine. Or the old North Shore Machine, by the terminal.
Right.
By the terminal.
We used to have one by the dog park at Coast Guard Park, and then the government got after us a little bit for using the site as compost when we need to be using it as a park. So we went to lease space behind by Verplanks and the house on North Shore Road there. Verplanks owned that property, and they leased it to us, and we put a compost pile back there for a while.
Is that possible for you to investigate if that's possible yet? So if our citizens bring it to that composting, Verplanks wants the black dirt from the compost, so that might be a win-win all the way around.
I can check into it.
Would you please?
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember, please.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Did we cut out the spring leaf pickup, so we're only doing it in the fall?
The city had always done just a fall pickup. In the past, typically we try to do 2 weeks and then the half week of Thanksgiving. So we do 2.5 weeks of leaf pickup. Another possibility would, cut it down 1 week, a leaf pickup where it doesn't get picked up. It's going to be the residents' responsibility to get rid of. Well, that's the big cost, is the hours in the packer truck.
Right. Yeah, I kind of, a lot of my neighbors use the service, and of course we like that service to put your leaves at the end of the, your driveway at the curbside and all that. So, I mean, it does come out of the, the city property taxes. So I kind of want to keep that service for our residents, but I do also know that we have some tough decisions on the budget, especially trying to pass the motorized vehicle replacement fund too. So like Councilmember Carlson said, maybe we can somehow leverage this a little bit and say, well, you residents, maybe we can do a survey or something to say if you had a choice, for keeping, leaf pickup or, voting for the motorized vehicle fund, what would you choose? Or a couple of the other services that we provide, maybe get, a survey out there somehow, or public input maybe. That's just kind of my thoughts.
Mr. Bessinger, if we did 1 week of leaf pickup, so cutting that service in half, would that equate to half of the 33,000? Or would that only be more of like a 25% off change?
We would have cut the number of packer hours down. So
Okay.
typically we get charged around 80 hours for the packer truck
Mm-hmm.
or more. I think this year was right around 80, but the leaves came down early this year and made a lot of difference where the guys could start early on the leaves and have them pretty much done by that third week. In fact, we
Mhm.
skipped some days the second week. A lot of it is weather dependent.
Okay.
And if we all
Sure.
did it in 1 week, there's probably going to be some overtime involved with the personnel,
Mm-hmm.
pick up leaves.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Montgomery.
Yeah, s- so I agree with Councilman Blease. I think that's an important service that I would hate to take from our residents, but in the spirit of saving money, I am curious, Craig, would there be do you think after saying there's the majority of it's a time, do you think there'd be an impact on the cost if we just shifted our requirement to where they had to have leaves in bags instead of just picking up loose leaves from the curb? I know, at least watching the DPW, that seems to take a lot of time.
I'm sure that would save some time, yes.
So that may be a fairly simple change that I think the majority of residents do anyways.
So it looks like we have a couple different scenarios that council has spoken about. Couple different options. I've heard 3 of them. Councilmember DeWitt.
Craig, a lot of cities sell garbage bags at City Hall for like $1, $2, whatever, for leaves and such what. And then that covers the cost of disposing them with either a dumpster, packer truck, or whatever. That might be another option we could look at. So it just entered my mind that I know Norton Shores, you gotta buy the bags and then they pick them up. Could you investigate that a little bit for us too?
So they charge a certain dollar amount for a bag, and that includes disposal?
Yes. That offsets the cost of the disposal. I don't recall what it was. Yeah, one of my customers brought that up to me today in Norton Shores or Muskegon, one of them. I was in several places, but anyway, that you buy the leaf bag from the city, and then it's orange or purple or whatever, and then the city picks them up and disposes them in like a dumpster or something like that. And they're all biodegradable, so you can just throw them in a, you know. So there's a couple different options for you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I know that the residents really appreciate this service. And I know, like everybody, we're facing some expenses in the city that we got to start to consider. But I think making any movement on this situation right now, I wouldn't be for it, I guess. I like to wait and see what the Headley amendment brings us. See what the citizens feel about that. If the Headley amendment doesn't pass, then maybe starting to think about cutting services will be required at that time. But I think it's a little premature right now to cut this service, personally.
Okay.
I do like the idea of finding a leaf disposal site, though. I think that'd be the best bet for the city. I don't know right offhand where it would be a good spot, but I'm sure Craig and the DPW guys might have some good ideas on that. So I would support a leaf disposal site, definitely.
Okay.
Yes,
Councilmember Montgomery.
I'm just curious on Councilmember DeWitt and Councilmember Sias's proposal about disposal site. Would that be for loose leaves, or because we have a site where we can drop off bagged leaves already?
Yeah, I would say loose leaves, something like Norton Shores has. I don't know if you're familiar with that site up by Black Lake. Yeah, something of that. Not that magnitude, though. I don't think we need anything that size because we're a much smaller community. But something of that nature, I think, would benefit the community.
So right now, does staff have enough information to kind of provide council with a few different scenarios and with cost expenditures in that at this point?
Yes, we got some work to do.
Okay. I guess I'd like to see this back once we gather that information back on a work session versus an agenda item, so we can still do further investigation and further discussion on this. The rest of the council, what is
Sounds
your
I agree.
thoughts? Okay. So the next item is brush pickup. And I'm assuming this is going to be very similar to D with the leaf pickup.
Your Honor, if I may.
Councilmember DeWitt, you're the one that requested this one?
Okay, so we're looking at $6,310 for labor. Now you got fuel, truck, chipper. My thought is we're looking at a $55,000 chipper in the next fiscal year. The chipper we have, if what be the crew is just cleaning up storm damage and such what on our streets, probably last another 20 or 30 years. The amount of brush they're chipping, obviously they're wearing it out. So we're looking not only at the cost of say roughly $7,000, we're looking at the cost of a new chipper plus wear and tear on our trucks and all that other stuff. You know, we calculated the cost of labor. What about the cost of fuel for the chipper, the truck, and another $55,000 next year? You know, these are things that we have to address. You know, I know our citizens appreciate it and everything, but I just want to throw that out there because without you know, if we have to start buying trucks and such what out of general fund instead of the equipment millage, a lot of these things are going to have to go by the wayside. I just want to throw that out there just to get council thinking about it. And, you know, we got some tough choices to make.
Any other discussion around the brush pickup? Because this, the replacement would not come around to council until the next fiscal year.
Chipper would, yes.
Pardon me?
The chipper would, yes.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion with brush pickup at this time? Or just for,
And we just rolled the two, the leaf and the brush pickup into one, basically the same, see what options we have.
I would be okay with that. Other council members?
Well, I'd like to keep it separate because we can eliminate one and not the other.
Right, but
Yes.
still get the same type of options.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, all this stuff is good for our citizens. However, somebody's got to pay for it. You know, we're facing budget shortfalls, and that's, you know, between the two, you're looking at probably 50,000, 60,000 that you can put toward streets or something else. So that's why I wanted down here to discuss it.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it on the forefront. So moving down to 7F, Headley override. This information was provided by staff, by Mr. Bessinger. 2005, it was defeated by 27%. About 2007, it was defeated, and again in 2008. So with the next election year coming up, to vote, council will need to decide if we want to add this onto the ballot. And if so,
Your Honor,
yes,
I think this really does need to come, be put on the ballot this year. The only problem is we can't, as council members, go out and campaign for or against it.
correct.
We would definitely need to have come up with some way to educate the public on the importance of the Headley override. And so that, I know, I believe Grand Haven, Craig, didn't Grand Haven have a education when they did the ask for their Headley override?
I'm not sure they asked for Headley override. They asked for a forever millage, where they have a perpetual millage going for infrastructure repair. And they did a video to help educate their residents.
Which is the only thing that city is able to do following PA 269. We have to be
Yep.
very careful with that one.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a group of citizens that would come together to push forth the Headley Amendment to get passed, similar to what happened with Ferrisburg Nature Preserve, that would allow us to be able to keep the leaf pickup and the brush pickup and be able to sell the citizens on the fact that this needs to go through in order to maintain our high quality of life here in Ferrisburg.
Mhm. And that's something that's pretty amazing with our residents that we have here. Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
We have, what, 3 elections this year? Debbie, what does it cost us to put, say if we put this Headley override on with the school millage, or can you go through the steps as far as the cost to the city? If we wait till November, I know it's no cost to the city, if I'm correct.
If you put it on in May, which the deadline is in a couple of weeks, you would be responsible for the entire election. The other election we have for certain is November, which we're already paying for. August election, I won't know until the end of April when I get petitions in to see if I have an August election or not.
So we have a school election in April,
Yeah.
right?
We have school election in May,
Okay,
and the deadline to put proposals on there is coming up. I don't know if you'd have enough time to get it through for a May election. You would also be responsible for the entire cost of that election, which is probably going to run about anywhere from 45 to 5,000.
okay, that's the answer I was looking for. Thank you.
The cost of elections has gone up with the no reason absentee voting, where now instead of 280 absentee applications going out, there's going to be 1,200 going out. That's another thing to consider.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So it sounds like council would like to see this move forward as a ballot question to our residents. The next question is, do you want it to move something, have staff move something forward for May and city incurs the whole cost, or wait until the November and put it on with the general election?
Your Honor, with the importance of this this vote, I think we need to give the public enough time to get the information, get it out there, and I think the May would be too pushing it, trying to get everybody educated on. So I would go for the November.
Okay. Yes.
Your Honor.
Clerk Wieringa, just a moment. Clerk Wieringa has a question.
I would possibly suggest to prepare for an August election and November at the same time. The deadline to put on November is going to be about a week after the August election.
Mhm.
So if it would fail in August, you're already prepared to put it on in November. But
Okay,
we won't know if there's August until the end of April.
the end of April. Okay. Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
Okay, we've kind of covered our bases on the election. What about, what are we going to request?
I don't know. What does
Your
council
Honor.
feel? Councilmember Sias, yes.
I'm kind of curious if we should go for the same thing that Grand Haven did, or something like Grand Haven, the forever millage instead of the Headley Amendment. What's your thoughts on that, Craig? Would that benefit the city, or would the Headley Amendment be a better way to go?
There's, if you're going to dedicate something to infrastructure, that's something that residents will see. And they might be able to support that a little bit more than a Headley rollback, where they think they're giving the city a blank check to spend that extra money on whatever the city wants to.
Okay.
Councilmember DeWitt?
Craig, if we go for forever millage, is that subject to the Headley rollback?
Yes, any millages.
So if we pass a 1 mil as an example, in 5 years, it's gonna be down to what, 7.5, 7.2?
No, I wouldn't think it'd go down that fast. You know,
But it's gonna go down every year.
it's gonna go down every year. So
So-
if you were gonna ask for forever millage or millage for infrastructure dedicated to a certain item, like 1 mil will bring in about $180,000. A mil and a half, it'd be about 270. So, you know, that's pretty close to getting a part of a street on at 270,000. So, you know, you could, in a number of years, you could do a lot of infrastructure, roads.
Okay, another question. If we did a forever millage and dedicated it to roads, how much would that save us out of the general fund? Because the state matching, we're taking out of the general fund now, correct?
We're taking out of the public improvement fund, and we put about $380,000 in the public improvement fund, and 140,000 is used to pay for the debt service on the bike path millage, which expires in 2024.
So we would basically save 140,000 out of the general fund at this point, roughly. So
Roughly,
it's,
yeah, 150,000.
okay, so if we got the forever millage and we put it on the ballot for street repair, that gives us an extra 150,000 out of the general fund. It would seem to me that that would be something that people could vote for rather than a Headley override. What's your opinion on that?
When you're voting for something that you see what you're going to get, I think that makes a lot of difference to the residents.
What is the feel for the rest of the council?
Greg, do you have any idea what the success rate was of the forever millage in Grand Haven? I know it passed, but do you have any idea how the votes landed?
I haven't seen that. I'm sure we could gather that information and have this again on a work session.
Yeah, I mean,
Gather us those type of facts.
yeah, if it was an overwhelming win, it might be, you know, beneficial for us to kind of go in on those coattails and use some of what they learned.
Mhm. Sure. So is the consensus of council at this time to look more towards a forever millage for the city versus a Headley override?
I think so. I think it makes more sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any
I
other-
would say based on the successes of our neighboring communities, yes, it would be beneficial for us to look at the same thing.
Agreed.
You agree? Okay.
Yeah, the only problem I have with it is it locks us into, we have to spend that money on that particular item. And if in the future, we were to need that money for something else, it might become an issue. So that's just my concern. I'd rather just go for the Headley override myself. That's my.
Councilmember DeWitt?
Well, I agree with Tim to a point, but the streets are gonna get repaired. It's gonna come out of the general fund. If we have a forever millage dedicated to street repair, that's gonna provide us with another 150,000 in the general fund that should cover any additional expenses that come up. Would be my thought. I think we have a much better chance of doing a forever millage dedicated to street repair or infrastructure. Let's just say infrastructure. I would prefer to see it just for street repair Because infrastructure, we have a sewer fund, we have a water fund. You know, street repair, I think, would pass easier than just infrastructure per se.
Your Honor, but with the infrastructure, could we not include city buildings, fire barn, city hall, maintenance of that magnitude? Could that could come out of this millage as well? That's considered infrastructure, I'm saying?
Mr. Bessinger, would that be classified as an infrastructure or is that just city-owned properties?
So I think whatever you ask for in the millage, you want to be specific on what you're exactly going to use it for. If you want to go for a millage to repair streets, improve city buildings, then you need to put that on the ballot.
All right, so it looks like we have enough to move forward for another work session to finalize and dig into this a little bit deeper. Mr. Bessinger, would you be able to create a couple different scenarios for council to look at another work session regarding this?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving down to 7G, the work session on city lawn maintenance. And that information also, staff has been very busy creating information for us, putting packets together.
I had a whole month.
They talk about 2 seasonal employees with the city park during the summer, typically working for $13 an hour from mid-April to mid-August. So you're looking at 16 weeks, 40 hours a week, and one person would be just over 8,000, 2 would be about 16,600. So I know that we're looking at lawn maintenance quotes then was also included in here from a couple different sources. So is this something that council would like to move forward to basically eliminate the 2 part-time summer help or to service? Member DeWitt.
Yeah, I asked this to be put on there. Question I got for Craig is you're billing these guys out at $13 an hour. Does that include workman's comp and the city's share of their Social Security? Is that total price $13 an hour or is that just the wages?
It's just a wage. It does not
Okay.
include the workers' comp.
So we can add another, what, $7 an hour? Between our Social Security and the workman's comp?
I'm not sure it'd be $7, but there'd be an additional cost, yes.
So that number you gave us is not accurate to the actual cost. So now what was that new lawnmower we just paid? We just bought last year.
It was 14,000. Deb,
Okay.
don't we charge summer help $15 with benefits on the public works spreadsheets?
It's just over 15. It's like 1532 on the spreadsheets.
That's for Social Security and workers' comp?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're going to almost, say, round numbers, 20,000 in wages and the comp and everything. Okay, we just paid $14,000 for a lawnmower. As I read through this, we hire summer help from June until September, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we cut grass in April and May. If the year's mild, we get grass in April, May for sure, at least half of May. So the city crew is actually doing that. And then from September, October, even sometimes into November, the city crew is doing the mowing of the parks, correct? After the summer help goes back to school.
Correct.
So these numbers are really skewed, excuse me, to so we could add what, another 10,000, 15,000 from the numbers you're giving us here? Because we're paying our permanent help more than $13 an hour.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're looking at more money, just whatever it is. I'm not gonna quibble over a few dollars. Okay, now we got maintenance on the lawnmowers, maintenance on the trucks. The question I get is, looking at some of these bids, landscape design is 26,000, and they're gonna do it the entire year. What was the other one? There was another one.
No, we just had the one quote in there.
Okay, so what I would suggest before we get too far into this, is we open this up to maybe another bid or two and seriously look at it, because the numbers I'm seeing here, 26,675, and they're gonna do it all year. My suggestion would be perhaps we look at doing it for a year. If we're satisfied, continue it. But I would like to see other bids for this. So basically, we're doing the same. Basically, it's dollar for dollar. There might be a little bit of savings doing it ourselves, but basically it's dollar for dollar, and then we're out of it. You know, if we don't like it, we don't pay them. It seems pretty simple to me that perhaps it might be an option to look at. We may save a little money, we may not, but we just paid 14,000 for a lawnmower. If we keep it for a year and see how the service does, if we're happy, we can always sell that. Probably not gonna get 14,000, but we certainly don't need it if we're contracting it.
Okay. Additional council members regarding this, either we're looking at the comparison of summer help versus contracting the park services out. And possibly getting another, at least another quote or another bid. Yes, Councilmember Montgomery.
Yeah, Mr. Bessinger, did they give any inclination onto how much additional it would be to add the other green spaces that you mentioned?
No, they did not. We just got a quote for budget purposes, just to, get a ballpark figure on what it would cost the city, so we could bring that information to the city council.
Would council like entertain an additional bid, including additional green spaces within the city? So then we're comparing two different bids and then getting more of an accurate number on what the two summer help would cost.
I
I
would go
would
with that.
give support of that. Mr. Bessinger, have we ever had issues with hiring employees? Have we had difficulty finding summer help?
It's always been a little bit of a challenge, but we've always managed to get, a couple of summer help.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember DeWitt?
Just throwing this out there, I think if we're gonna put this out for bids, we should get, the city crew does, the sidewalks along, Pine Street, but we don't need that big mower for that. They just use smaller mowers. What I would suggest is we get a apples for apples quote here from
Correct.
the same thing. You can't throw additional things in and expect the price to be the same.
That's what I had mentioned to Mr. Bessinger, making sure that the second bid, everything is the same. So we can compare two different bids along with the summertime help on a spreadsheet
Okay,
or on some type of a document. Okay,
works for me.
staff have enough information at this point?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving down to 7H, water and sewer rates. And that information was in our packet to review where we're at in the projected for future budgets. The revenue that's coming in.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes,
We just had a consultant go through this and say we should increase 2% per year. Right now, water and sewer is in a relatively stable position. I guess my point would be, if we go up at 1% per year, we're not gonna be 5 years from now asking for a huge increase. People will get to expect a little bit of raise every year. 1% certainly is not gonna be terrible on anybody. But, we need to start looking at these funds and saying, hey, we have to look to the future and maintain these funds, keep them in a viable position. We had that engineer recommended 2% per year.
Mhm.
And I would like to see us go at 1% per year and just get this done. And then we're going to be in a more sustainable position.
What are other council members' thoughts, ideas around a possible 1% increase?
What would a 1% increase be?
Mr. Bezinger, do you have that?
So a typical homeowner's bill for water and sewer, probably $200.
Per year,
1%,
per quarter.
a quarter, correct.
So you're talking $2 increase. 1% would be $2, right?
Right, for water, and then another 1% on sewer would be $4.
Okay. $4 a quarter, so that's $12. Be $16 a year. $16 a year.
Correct.
But that's going to put the water and sewer fund in a more sustainable position instead of in the future. I've been involved in these things when we had to ask, we had to pass a 4 or 5% increase. I think one time it was 8%, and the screaming was unbearable. If we do 1% per year, $16 a year, we're in a sustainable position. The citizens are not going to be unduly surprised where we had to jump up the rates dramatically.
Your Honor,
Yes.
yeah, it certainly would be nice, segueing back to that cross-connection inspection program. That's $3.98 a quarter that we have to charge per state mandate. That's almost $16 a year right there that we're getting shoved down our throat from Lansing for the cross-connection program.
Right. So with council at this point, if this is a work session, do we want to bring this back around and have an agenda item to approve, not approve a 1% water sewage increase?
Yes.
Your Honor, what I would like to suggest is that it seems like the direction of council at this time is to try to keep water and sewer rates at a 1% increase.
Okay,
So as we put the city budget together, we'll work towards that goal.
right.
And then we'll bring the water and sewer resolution to city council and they can approve it during the budget process.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So with that being done, we'll move down to 7I, motorized millage.
Your Honor,
Yes.
with this particular millage, I think we would be able to get it passed if we market it as a continuing millage, not as an additional or new millage, even though it is. So it would not be any increase to the residents. They're already paying it, or they've already paid it. So I think that's would be an important part of this issue. And also I would like to perhaps see if we could spread out the repurchasing of vehicles, such as we did with the fire department with engine 721. If we could do that with the DPW, maybe that would help us out a bit.
Any further discussion around the motorized equipment millage? Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
So the question becomes, do we want a half mil or 1 mil? The 1 mil went down big time. The half mil barely passed. I think we should do a half mil. And perhaps we should consider putting that on in the May election. So we know if it passed or not before. We put 2 ballot requests on the same ballot. I'm not sure either one would pass. This way, at least we would know ahead of time. Just a thought.
Okay. Other thoughts from council regarding a half mil motorized equipment millage to be placed on the May election? Yes, Councilmember Bliss.
Debbie, will that cost us $5,000 to add it to May?
Yes.
Ooh, not sure if I like that. What about, can't we try to aim for August? If it fails in August, put it on November? Or is that too much with the other infrastructure?
If we have an August election, we can do that. Right now, we don't know yet on August.
Your Honor,
I
Yes,
don't know if we're gonna have a primary or not.
correct. That
Maybe-
would be the August
maybe-
election.
Your Honor,
Yes,
maybe we should time this whenever schools do their millages because they always seem to win.
they do,
And
which says a lot for our community. that we
yeah,
live in.
they don't do it in November. They do it in off times and they pay for it.
Only Grand Haven does it in May. Spring Lake schools and Fruitport schools have theirs in November.
Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
I would be in favor of trying to get it on in May, even if we have to pay for it. Because then we know we got that in our back pocket. That would help the budget process considerably because we have to start buying dump trucks and such out of the general fund. That's gonna take a huge hit on the general fund.
Agreed.
So would council continue to seek the 0.5% moving this forward? Or would council want to entertain a different amount?
Your Honor,
Yes.
Craig, would that half mil, is that what we're at now?
That's correct. Well,
Okay,
the half mill's been reduced by the Headley Amendment. So it's like 4.8 or something, as I recall.
okay. So
Your Honor?
we can still, so we don't really need the full mill. If we went back to the 5, we would be able to make all our purchases as needed.
So in your package shows what the balance is. We're expecting a balance at June 30th, 2021, about $150,000. A half mil is going to bring in about $90,000. So you can see that it's going to take 5 or 6 years to accumulate enough money just to buy the next fire truck. So that will give us 4 years of collecting for the other equipment that the city uses.
Okay. Councilmember Carlson.
Craig, would a half mil allow us to maintain the status quo for brush and leaf pickup?
The half mil is not used for anything but motorized equipment. So if the millage was approved, we would not have to budget any money out of the general fund to buy motorized equipment.
That's great wording. I'm just thinking about using it as a selling tool to be able to pass a millage that, hey, we'd be able to continue with the services that the citizens expect for brush and leaf pickup. With getting this passed, that it would alleviate us from being able to spend it, having to spend it from the general fund.
That's correct.
So would a half mil do that, or should we go for the full mil?
I don't know if we need a full mill. I was kind of thinking in my head, maybe a 3/4 mill, but I'm not sure if that would pass if we're going to go for a forever millage in the future. So it may be best just to try for a half a mil to keep a status quo.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Greg, if we don't get the millage, how much is gonna come out of the general fund for equipment? I mean, I imagine we're gonna rein our horns in somewhat, but, we're looking at what, 100,000 a year probably coming out of the general fund?
So if there's no money in the motorized equipment fund, we need to buy a fire engine. We're gonna take out an installment loan to do that. So we'll be paying, that loan payment out of the general fund. So if we buy a fire truck for $500,000, we'll be paying that over probably a 10-year period plus interest. So, 75,000, 80,000 a year out of the general fund just to pay for a fire truck. And that does not include any pickup trucks or dump trucks or salt trucks or anything.
Well, I guess my question is typically what do we spend per year out of the motorized vehicle fund? I don't need an exact number, just give me a ballpark.
Every year is different. We're buying a dump truck or a pickup truck. So, we just purchased a new dump truck and that was $150,000. If we're just going to buy a pickup truck and another piece of equipment, it's typically 90,000, 100,000 a year.
Okay, so 100,000 a year would be coming out of the general fund. I think, as I recall, the last estimate I saw for replacing that fire truck that needs replacing was closer to $750,000, wasn't it? Rather than 500,000.
Right now, we're estimating 600,000, correct?
Yeah, as I recall, it was more like 700,000, but I could be. My mind isn't what it used to be. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the consensus I'm hearing from council is for a $500,000 to continue for the motorized vehicle millage.
On the May ballot.
Well, okay. So how about if we have staff create the documentations for us and we can discuss it at a following council meeting as an agenda item?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. Moving down to work session 7J, which is rental. Oh,
Your Honor.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
I apologize. I have to leave for work, so I'm gonna have to leave at this time.
Okay. Thank you for your attendance. Please. So, Mr. Bessinger, can you please add that to the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving down to 7G. I'm at 7J, sorry, with rentals. Councilmember DeWitt, had you asked for this request to be on for?
Yeah, I requested Craig to get Grand Haven's ordinance. We don't have anything in the ordinance, section 9205 record. We don't have anything in our current ordinance written. Am I correct in that?
Right. There's no requirement to keep a log in the city of Ferrisburg.
So I guess my request would be that we investigate and put it on as agenda item to copy this section 9205 record keeping. So if there is an issue, they have to provide the city with documentation to whether we need to fine them or revoke their license. That's pretty much what I was looking for on this. We kind of fell down when we wrote that ordinance that we didn't provide that in the ordinance as it was written.
So
I guess
before this is added as an agenda item, I would like to hear other council members' comments or questions regarding this, please.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the purpose of a logbook in order to be able to make sure that we don't have short-term rentals happening in the city?
Is that question directed to Mr. Bessinger?
Actually, to whoever put this on the agenda.
Okay, the reason this is on the agenda is we've had several complaints from citizens that instead of the 7-day rental, they're renting it 1 or 2 days. Okay. We have no way to enforce the ordinance of a 7-day minimum without the record keeping ordinance on it. Now, when they come in to renew their rental license, they would have to provide us with a copy of their logbook. Just, that they are in fact doing it. So if there's any question in the future of neighbors complaining that they're renting out to 3 different people in 2 weeks, then we have a mechanism to enforce the ordinance as it is already written, that we have no way of verifying at this point. So that would be just a tool for the city to enforce the ordinance as it is already written. That would not subtract any rights of the short-term rental people now. It would just be a enforcement mechanism if in fact we had complaints, that we could go back through their records. They don't have to provide it to the city, they have to maintain it. And then we could have a legitimate right or legitimate chance of enforcing the ordinance as it's already written. Does that clarify your?
Definitely. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that landowners, property owners are looking at it and saying, hey, I can't advertise my property for less than 7 days and it takes me off of search results.
Well, that's the ordinance in Perrysburg. What's happening? Excuse me. What's happening now is they're advertising on Airbnb for 1 or 2 day rentals. This specifically says you cannot advertise for less than 7 days. So that's going to eliminate probably 80% of the issues we already had come up.
They cannot advertise for less than that, or they cannot rent for less than that.
The law, the ordinance now says they can't rent for less than 7 days at a time.
Rent, okay.
But they're advertising on Airbnb and other outlets, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day rental. We have no way unless we go on the websites and try to track it, that adding this to the ordinance, they would have to maintain a record. So if there was a complaint, we could go back and see what actually the rental history was.
So essentially a landowner could list it for rent, and then in the details, once a customer looked at it, a potential rental looked at it, they would see in the details that, hey, this is a 7 day minimum. And if we found a piece of property that we felt was a violation, we could go and look at their logbook.
Correct.
Because I could see where landowners are saying, hey, I'm being excluded from searches because you're limiting me to advertising for 7 days. And it just throws them right out of the mix from a search engine standpoint.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the ordinance as written is 7 day minimum, period. That's all.
I understand that.
So I thought we had a work session on this in the past, and we include the city attorney, and there's nothing wrong with advertising, 2 days or 1 day, as long as they're not actually renting it out for less than 7 days.
But we have no way of tracking that unless they have to provide us a logbook.
Mike, I don't know if logbooks are the answer, though. I mean, coming from a family of truck drivers, we all know that logbooks can be fudged, and I think the only way to really track that is through their financial records. And I don't know if the city has place in that. It'd be a tough ordinance to enforce. I think that's my concern.
Anybody that's renting for profit has got to keep a logbook for the IRS as to where their income is from.
Yeah.
Property.
Mr. Bessinger, has Crane Haven had to utilize this process? Are you aware?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Yes, Councilmember Montgomery.
Craig, looks like from your email, it says Grand Haven doesn't have a minimum on short-term rentals like we do.
That's correct. They have, in certain zone districts, you can rent it for less than 7 days.
Okay. So they wouldn't really have any need to look at a logbook unless somebody's renting out gets a complaint for a long-term rental where they rent out more than, I think, 3 times a year, short-term.
Depends on what zone it's in.
Okay. So,
Your Honor,
Yes,
Grand Haven has 3 or 4 or 5 different zoning districts. One, you can rent 30 days or more. One, you can rent day by day. Other ones are 7-day minimum in that zoning district. So if you're renting 1-day rentals in the 7-day zoning district, then this comes into effect. They have investigated one that I'm aware of. After she provided the logbook, they were in compliance. The neighbor was just, you know how neighbors can be. But anyway, because they have different zoning districts with different minimums, that's why they wrote this into the ordinance. So in the areas where they have 7-day minimum, this ordinance comes into effect. And that's what we have throughout the whole city.
okay. So with that being said, where would council like to move with this? Does council want to investigate more and have direct staff to reach out to city attorney to review this? And like what Councilmember Montgomery said, we had reviewed this regarding the advertisements. And our attorney had provided his opinion on that. So I'm not, what would council like to see happen? Move this to an agenda item?
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes,
We're talking about section 9(205), the record keeping. And I would also like to include section 9(206), where it says, okay, the other issue we've had is the occupancy load. We have, when we do an inspection, there is a maximum allowable occupancy. That has been violated several times. There again, with the record keeping, they had to say, okay, there's 7 people there. Well, if you're only licensed for 4, you get a fine or revoke your license. But that, I don't want to sound out like we're coming out like, big brother slapping you alongside the ear, but we do have complaints in the city due to the short-term rentals. I think with this and giving a copy to all the short-term rental owners or agents, it's going to put a stop to some of these issues that keep coming up. I would like to see it as an agenda item.
okay. Hearing from Councilmember Montgomery, Councilmember DeWitt, is there other council members that wish to see this on an agenda item for further discussion? Or is council okay with how the ordinance is written right now with no further action? So hearing, no, okay. So hearing none at this point, I guess this would just remain a work session discussion for tonight, and we can bring this back up again in the future as we see the need arise. Is that what I'm taking from the council? Councilmember Zayas, yes.
Yeah, it seems to me like we already have the ordinances in place. It's just the enforcement of the ordinances. And I think, we should leave that on the sheriff's hands. I mean, that's his job to enforce the ordinances. We can create, add on to the ordinances, but I think it's just going to add, just more stipulations that landowners got to contain with and put more regulations on them. And I don't think at this point that's necessary. I think most of our landowners do a good job, but there are going to be a few that break the law or break our ordinances, and they should be handled directly. I don't think that we should change the whole ordinance for just one or two complaints.
Okay. And I know that staff has reached out to situations with short-term rentals in the past, and have done some follow-up with those also. So, okay, then feel free, if council would like to bring this back up on another work session, we can continue to discuss it. But at this time, then we'll just move on to our next agenda item. And with that being said, we're down to public comments. We have one attendee. I don't see a hand up at this time. So we'll move down to reports. City Manager,
No report.
they move down to council members. I'll just go across the screen. Councilmember DeWitt,
Yeah, I really don't have any reports.
okay. Councilmember, please.
The MPO Transport Committee is going to meet this Wednesday, the 20th. So I plan to attend that meeting, and then if there's any big news, then I'll inform the council.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Councilmember Montgomery.
Yeah, to start off, just in recognition and celebration of today, being Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Day, I was able to watch the virtual Unity Day breakfast put on by MCC. It's typically in person, but with everything going on, it was on YouTube this year. Lots of keynote speakers from our neighboring Muskegon County community. And I would highly suggest everybody check it out if you have a free half hour. In addition to that, we have the Recreation Commission meeting on the 21st. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. I appreciate the recognition for Martin Luther King. That's important. Going down to Councilmember Carlson.
Kitchell Nicholas Dunes Preserve Board tomorrow, Zoom meeting at 6:30. The other thing I would mention is that we did have a dust up regarding council members having a political web page. I can't remember what Facebook calls it. I think it's a politician page or something like that. And I was wondering if council would like to visit a work session, what or if logo would be appropriate for a page like that. And if we could come to an agreement as to something signifying that, hey, this person is an elected person and as a politician.
That information, you can review that in the social media policy that we have. And there's policy and procedures that are put in place. So feel free to review that and we can revisit it in a work session.
So are you saying that there is a approved logo that someone could put on their political page?
There's policy and procedures in the social media policy. If you review that, it'll give you the guidance of what you would need to do.
Is there an approved logo?
Is there approved logo?
That's what I'm asking. Yes.
No, there's not an approved, but there is a policy and procedure in place for any person utilizing the logo.
And Rich, I did ask Mr. Vessner to add that as a future work session.
Okay.
Just revisiting the ability for us to identify ourselves as government officials on social media. I think based on the attorney's review, we may not. There is some room for confusion there. So.
Because our city attorney is the one that drafted, and council did approve that social media policy back in 2016.
Right.
So.
Very good.
So,
thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Montgomery.
I was just going to point out he wasn't sure that was the original intent, so I thought it prudent of us to review that at a future work session.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
can those policies be revisited, or are they set in stone? I mean, can we have a work session on revisiting some of the policies and maybe adding or subtracting some of the language in the policies? Could we have that as a work session?
Certainly, which policy would you like to review? There's multiple policies out there.
I think the one, well, I don't have it in front of me. The one that was quoted in our emails, about being a representative of the city and, about, I guess, elected officials being, considered city employees and not really being, that, I don't have that.
That's the social media policy.
Right. Can we
And
revisit
we
that
are,
policy?
and we
or-
are employees of the city. Because we do receive a
Yeah, but-
paycheck from the city.
I understand, but I'm just curious if we could have a work session and discuss revisiting that language.
Sure, I think that that's what Councilmember Montgomery has already requested.
Okay, all right, very good. That's all. Yeah.
Sure.
I have no
Anything
opinion,
for
I'm
your-
just saying.
Pardon?
I have no opinion, I'm just saying, so everybody's happy and we have a good, clear idea of what, we're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So we don't step out of the bounds and
Mhm.
everybody's happy.
That's why,
That's-
yep, policies are put in place just for that specific reason, but they're always opportunity to be reviewed because this is a different council than what we had in 2016.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sias, did you have any report for this week?
No report. The beautification committee's meeting was canceled due to lack of participation this month. So our next meeting is the second week, the second Monday of the week. I don't have the exact date, but I'll get that to the city on our next meeting.
Okay, thank you. I just have a couple updates. City Manager Buzzinger and I participated in the virtual meeting with the BLP regarding the decommission of the power plant. I know that Mr. Buzzinger had that in his report also for this week. I continue to be involved with the Ottawa County Equity and Inclusion. We have an upcoming Zoom meeting this week. And then also I received confirmation just over the weekend from the Michigan Historical Marker that the commissioner that the rough draft for Hezekiah Smith for his marker is nearing completion for us to review. So that's it. End of report.
Your Honor,
May I
Yes.
throw something else out there? We had included in our packet, I think not this time before, was a planning commission member that has missed like 14 or 15 meetings. We put that on a work session, do what we gotta do to remove him or replace him or however whatever the procedure is there. If we appoint someone to planning commission is pretty important. If you're not going to participate and show up for the meetings, perhaps we should look at booting him and find somebody that would participate fully. Can we put that on the agenda?
Mr. Buzzinger, were you going to address that?
Yes. This planning commissioner did make contact with City Clerk Debbie Wieringa and has resigned his position.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering why it wasn't on the work session or on tonight's agenda. So we have an opening on the planning commission now?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Carlson, were you going to add
I
anything?
just wanted to know, when you're meeting with the BLP, are any plans being put in place in terms of the implosion for the smokestacks for the community? Or is it just going to be a giant surprise?
They didn't really discuss that during the meeting and we didn't ask. So I'm sure they have, this is the first time that they have reached out to me to be included in any type of a community discussion. And I know that they will be doing additional community outreach moving forward.
Very good. Thank you.
So I'm just really glad that Ferrisburg was finally brought to the table.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn. Nobody's got anything.
Thanks.
Support?
Support.
Okay. Have a great night. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you. Have a good
See
night.
you later.
Bye.